Let me ask you something. Have you noticed more gray hair appearing lately, maybe faster than you expected? And you're still wondering, is this just aging or is something missing in my body? Because here sits the truth. Most people never hear, little gray hair is not always genetic. Gray hair is often nutritional. Your hair follicles are living tissue. And when they don't get what they need, they stop producing melanin, the pigment that gives your hair its color. Today I want to talk to you about 3 hidden nutrients that are absolutely essential if you want to slow down gray hair naturally. Let me explain something very important that most people have never been told. Gray hair is not always a normal part of aging, and it is definitely not always genetic. Yes, genetics play a role, but genetics are only the trigger, not the cause. What most people are experiencing today is nutritional graying, not age-related graying. Your hair follicles are living, breathing tissue. They require oxygen, blood flow, minerals, vitamins, enzymes, and antioxidants to function properly. When even one of these is missing, the system begins to fail. And one of the very first visible signs of internal imbalance is gray hair. Inside each hair follicle are specialized pigment-producing cells called melanocytes. These cells produce melanin, the substance that gives your hair its natural color, whether black, brown, blonde, or red. As long as those cells are nourished and protected, they continue doing their job. But here sits the problem. When the body becomes deficient in key nutrients, the melanocytes slow down, then weaken, then shut off entirely. And once melanin production drops, the hair grows out gray or white. This process does not happen overnight. It happens silently, gradually, and long before most people realize something is wrong. The modern lifestyle is a perfect storm for this problem. We eat calorie-dense but nutrient-poor foods. We experience chronic stress. We sleep poorly. We take medications that block absorption. We age and digestion becomes weaker. All of this leads to one thing, hidden deficiencies. And these deficiencies don't always show up on standard blood tests until they're severe. But your hair knows long before your doctor does. That's why you see people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s with significant gray hair. That is not normal aging. That is the body signaling depletion. Another critical point most people don't test and understand is this. Your body prioritizes survival over appearance. If nutrients are limited, the body sends them to the brain, heart, liver, and muscles first. Hair, skin, and nails are last on the list, so even mild deficiencies will show up in your hair before they affect vital organs. That's why gray hair is often an early warning sign. Now let's talk about stress, because stress alone can drain nutrients faster than poor diet. When you are under chronic stress, your body burns through B vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants at an accelerated rate. Stress hormones increase inflammation and oxidative damage, which directly harms pigment-producing cells. This is why people often notice sudden graying after emotional trauma, prolonged anxiety, or exhaustion. It's not just stress turning hair gray, it's stress robbing the body of nutrients and the hair paying the price. There's just also the issue of absorption. You might be eating healthy, but if your digestive system is weak, inflamed, or low in stomach acid, those nutrients are not being absorbed. As we age, stomach acid naturally declines, which means mineral and vitamin absorption drops significantly. This is why older adults are especially vulnerable to nutrient-related graying, even if their diet hasn't changed. And this is another truth that may surprise you. Hair dye does nothing to fix the problem. It covers the symptom, but it does not address the cause. Meanwhile, the deficiency continues and more follicles shut down. Over time, the graying accelerates. The solution is not external. The solution is internal. When you restore proper nutrition, reduce oxidative stress, improve circulation, and calm the nervous system, you give the melanocytes a chance to recover if they are not completely destroyed. That's why early intervention matters. Once pigment cells are gone, they cannot always regenerate, but many people still have weakened dormant cells that can function again when the environment improves. This is why some individuals notice slower graying or even partial color return after correcting deficiencies and improving lifestyle habits. Your hair is a mirror of your internal health. If the body is nourished, balanced, and protected, the hair reflects that. If the body is depleted, inflamed, and stressed, the hair reveals it. So instead of asking, why is my hair turning gray? Let's ask, what is my body missing? Because gray hair is often the message, not the problem. And when you listen to that message early enough, you give your body the opportunity to restore balance from the inside out. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked minerals in the human body, yet one of the most critical when it comes to hair color, full copper. Most people never think about it. Doctors rarely talk about it, and nutrition advice almost completely ignores it. But without adequate copper, your body cannot produce melanin properly. And without melanin, hair loses its color, plain and simple. Inside your hair follicle is a delicate biochemical process taking place every single day. Melanocytes rely on a specific enzyme called tyrosinase to produce melanin. That enzyme does not work unless copper is present. Copper acts like a spark plug. Without it, the entire system shuts down. You could have perfectly healthy hair follicles. You could have good circulation. You could even be eating enough protein. But if copper is low, melanin production slows, then stops. And the hair grows out gray. Now here's a stitch where the problem gets bigger. Modern diets are not just low in copper, they actively block copper absorption. Many people take zinc supplements daily, often for immunity, prostate health, or skin issues. Zinc is important, but zinc and copper compete for absorption. When zinc intake is high and copper is low, copper deficiency becomes inevitable. This imbalance is extremely common. The body needs zinc and copper in balance. Too much of one depletes the other. Unfortunately, most people are unknowingly pushing that balance in the wrong direction. Add to that processed foods, depleted soils, and poor digestion, and copper levels slowly decline year after year. The symptoms don't show up immediately. Copper deficiency develops quietly. First, melanin production weakens, then hair color fades, then graying accelerates. By the time most people notice significant gray hair, copper has often been low for a long time. Another critical role of copper is its involvement in iron metabolism and oxygen delivery. Copper helps transport iron into red blood cells. Without copper, iron cannot function properly, even if iron levels look normal on blood tests. And hair follicles require oxygen. Reduced oxygen means reduced energy. Reduced energy means reduced pigment production. So copper deficiency hits hair color from multiple angles. It disrupts melanin synthesis. It weakens oxygen delivery. It increases oxidative stress. Copper is also a powerful antioxidant mineral. It is part of enzymes that neutralize free radicals. When copper is low, oxidative damage increases, and pigment cells are extremely sensitive to oxidative stress. This creates the perfect environment for premature graying. Now let's address something important. Copper deficiency does not mean you need massive doses of copper supplements. In fact, too much copper can be harmful. The goal is balance, not excess. Nature provides copper in small bioavailable amounts through whole foods, and this is where most people fall short. Foods rich in copper include organ meats like liver, seeds such as sesame and sunflower seeds, nuts like cashews, mushrooms, and even small amounts of dark chocolate. These foods were once common in traditional diets. Today they are rarely consumed. Instead, people eat refined carbohydrates, vegetable oils, and nutrient-poor convenience foods. Calories go up, nutrients go down, and the hair pays the price. Another issue is absorption. Copper absorption depends on stomach acid. As we age, stomach acid declines. Certain medications, especially antacids and acid blockers, reduce it even further. When stomach acid is low, minerals like copper are poorly absorbed. So even if someone eats copper-rich foods, they may not be absorbing enough. This is why older adults often experience rapid graying even when their diet hasn't changed much. The digestive system simply isn't extracting what it once did. There is also a connection between copper and thyroid function. The thyroid regulates metabolism, circulation, and cellular energy. Copper supports enzymes involved in thyroid hormone activity. When copper is low, thyroid efficiency can drop and hair pigmentation suffers as a result. Everything in the body is connected. Gray hair is never just about hair. It's about mineral balance, enzyme activity, oxidative stress, circulation, and digestion all working together. One of the biggest mistakes people make is chasing single nutrients without understanding balance. They load up on zinc, iron, calcium, or vitamin C without realizing they are depleting copper in the process. The body does not operate in isolation. Nutrients work as teams. When copper is restored gently and naturally through food, improved digestion, and reduced nutrient antagonists, the environment inside the hair follicle begins to change. Melanin production may not fully return in every case, but the rate of graying often slows significantly, and in some individuals, weakened pigment cells regain partial function. That's not a miracle. That's just physiology. Your body wants to function correctly. It just needs the raw materials. So if gray hair is advancing faster than expected, copper should always be part of the conversation, not as a quick fix, not as a megadose supplement, but as a missing piece of the puzzle. There is one nutrient deficiency that quietly affects millions of people, yet almost no one connects it to gray hair. Vitamin B12. This is not just a vitamin. This is a lifeline for your nervous system, your blood, and your hair follicles. And when it's missing even slightly, the body begins to break down in subtle but very visible ways. Hair graying is one of them. Inside every healthy hair follicle is a constant demand for oxygen and energy. Hair pigment cells are among the most active cells in the body. They divide, repair, and produce melanin continuously. To do this, they rely heavily on red blood cells to deliver oxygen and nutrients. Vitamin B12 is essential for making those red blood cells. When B12 levels drop, red blood cells become fewer, weaker, and less efficient at carrying oxygen. This creates a low oxygen environment in the hair follicle, and pigment-producing cells do not survive well under low oxygen conditions. The result? Melanin production slows, pigment cells weaken, hair grows out gray. This is not theory, this is biology. Now here sits the part most people don't realize. You can be eating foods that contain B12 and still be deficient. Why? Because B12 absorption is extremely complex. It requires healthy stomach acid, intrinsic factor from the stomach lining, proper pancreatic function, and a healthy small intestine. If any part of that chain is broken, B12 never makes it into your bloodstream. As we age, stomach acid naturally declines. This is a normal process, but it has serious consequences. Lower stomach acid means reduced release of B12 from food proteins. Add acid-blocking medications, antacids, or chronic digestive inflammation, and B12 absorption can drop dramatically. This is why B12 deficiency is so common in adults over 40, and especially in seniors. And yet many people never know they're deficient. Why? Because symptoms develop slowly. At first, the body compensates, then subtle signs appear: fatigue, brain fog, memory lapses, tingling in the hands or feet, mood changes. And yes, premature gray hair. Hair follicles are highly sensitive to nutrient shortages. They don't wait for full-blown deficiency. They respond early. That's why hair changes often appear before major neurological symptoms. Another critical role of B12 is DNA synthesis and cell repair. Hair follicles are among the fastest growing tissues in the body. If DNA replication is impaired, follicle cells cannot divide properly. Pigment cells are especially vulnerable. Without B12, follicle regeneration slows, pigment cells age faster, and graying accelerates. There's also a strong connection between B12 and the nervous system. Nerves supply hair follicles with signals that regulate growth cycles and pigment activity. B12 maintains the protective coating around nerves. When B12 is low, nerve signaling becomes inefficient. This disrupts communication between the brain and the follicle. And when that communication breaks down, pigment regulation suffers. Stress makes this even worse. Chronic stress increases the body's demand for B12. Stress hormones interfere with digestion, reduce absorption, and increase nutrient depletion. This is why people under prolonged stress often experience rapid graying, even if their diet hasn't changed. The body is burning through its reserves faster than they're being replaced. Vegetarians and vegans are at especially high risk because B12 is found almost exclusively in animal foods, but even people who eat meat can be deficient due to absorption issues. This is why B12 deficiency is one of the most underdiagnosed conditions in modern healthcare. Standard blood tests often miss functional deficiencies. Levels may appear normal, yet not enough B12 is reaching the tissues where it's needed. And hair follicles are some of the first tissues to feel that shortage. Now let's clear something up. Vitamin B12 is not a hair dye. It does not magically reverse gray hair overnight. That's not how the body works. What it does is restore the environment that allows pigment cells to survive and function. If pigment cells are weakened but still alive, improving B12 status can slow further graying and in some cases support partial pigment recovery. But if pigment cells have completely died, they cannot always be regenerated. That's why timing matters. The earlier you correct the deficiency, the better the outcome. B12 also works closely with other nutrients, especially folate and iron. Without B12, these nutrients cannot function properly. This creates a cascading effect where multiple systems fail at once. Hair graying is rarely caused by one single issue, but B12 deficiency is often a central piece of the puzzle. This is why simply eating healthy is not enough. You must absorb what you eat. Improving digestion, supporting stomach acid naturally, reducing chronic stress, and ensuring adequate B12 intake are all essential steps. When the body is nourished properly, circulation improves, oxygen delivery increases, nerve signaling stabilizes, and hair follicles receive the support they need to function at their best. Your hair does not gray randomly. It responds to internal conditions. And when vitamin B12 is missing, the message shows up clearly, strand by strand. Gray hair in many cases is the body asking for help long before more serious symptoms appear. There is a silent process happening inside your body right now that most people never think about, yet it plays a major role in how fast your hair turns gray. Oxidative stress. This is not just a buzzword, it is a biological reality that affects every cell in your body, especially the delicate pigment-producing cells inside your hair follicles. Every day your body produces a substance called hydrogen peroxide. In small amounts it's normal, but as you age, and especially when nutrition is poor or stress is high, hydrogen peroxide begins to accumulate. And here's the shocking part. Hydrogen peroxide literally bleaches your hair from the inside out. This is not happening on the surface. It's happening deep inside the hair shaft, right where color is formed. Under normal conditions, your body produces an enzyme called catalase. Catalase breaks hydrogen peroxide down into water and oxygen, neutralizing its damaging effects. But catalase production declines with age. And it declines even faster when your body lacks the nutrients needed to support antioxidant defenses. When catalase drops, hydrogen peroxide builds up. That buildup interferes with melanin production and destroys pigment cells over time. This is one of the most powerful mechanisms behind gray hair. Now let's talk about why this process accelerates so rapidly in modern life. The biggest driver is chronic inflammation. Processed foods, refined sugars, seed oils, environmental toxins, lack of sleep, emotional stress, all of these increase free radical production. Free radicals overwhelm your natural antioxidant systems. When oxidative stress becomes chronic, the body goes into survival mode. And once again, hair is not a priority. The body diverts antioxidants to protect vital organs like the brain and heart. Hair follicles are left exposed. Pigment cells are extremely sensitive to oxidative damage. They are among the first cells to shut down under oxidative pressure. This is why graying often speeds up during periods of illness, exhaustion, or emotional trauma. It's not just bad luck, it's sick chemistry. Now here's something important most people misunderstand. Taking random antioxidant supplements is not the solution. The body does not need massive doses of isolated antioxidants. It needs a balanced antioxidant network. Catalase does not work alone. It depends on other nutrients to function properly, especially vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium, polyphenols, and plant-based antioxidants. These compounds work together to neutralize free radicals and protect pigment cells. When one is missing, the system becomes inefficient. This is why whole foods matter more than pills. Foods rich in antioxidants include berries, citrus fruits, leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, onions, garlic, green tea, and herbs. These foods provide a complex mix of compounds that the body knows how to use to reduce inflammation, support catalase activity, and protect melanocytes from oxidative damage. Another overlooked factor is blood sugar. High blood sugar dramatically increases oxidative stress. Every spike in glucose produces a surge of free radicals. Over time, this damages blood vessels, nerves, and yes, hair follicles. This is why people with insulin resistance or diabetes often experience accelerated aging of the hair. Stabilizing blood sugar is one of the most powerful ways to reduce oxidative stress. Then there's this stress, real stress. Emotional stress increases cortisol. Cortisol increases inflammation. Inflammation increases oxidative damage. This chain reaction directly impacts pigment cells. Stress also depletes antioxidant nutrients faster than the body can replace them. You cannot out-supplement chronic stress. You must calm the nervous system. Deep sleep, breathing, relaxation, and recovery are not luxuries. They are biological necessities if you want to slow aging, including hair aging. Another important factor is circulation. Antioxidants and enzymes must be delivered to hair follicles through the bloodstream. Poor circulation means poor protection. This is why movement is so important. Even gentle daily activity improves blood flow, oxygen delivery, and nutrient transport. When circulation improves, oxidative damage decreases. Now let's be very clear about expectations. Reducing oxidative stress does not guarantee that gray hair will reverse completely. What it does is protect what remains. It slows further damage. It preserves existing pigment cells. It creates an environment where weakened cells can survive longer. In some individuals, this leads to partial color return. In others, it simply slows the progression dramatically. Both are victories. The goal is not perfection. The goal is preservation. Gray hair is not a sudden event. It is the result of years of accumulated damage. And that means the solution is also gradual. When you reduce oxidative stress, support catalase production, eat antioxidant-rich foods, stabilize blood sugar, improve sleep, and manage stress, you are addressing the root cause, not the symptom. Hair reflects internal balance. When the internal environment is calm, nourished, and protected, the rate of graying slows naturally. No chemicals, no harsh treatments, no false promises, just physiology working the way it was designed to. When you understand that, gray hair stops being a mystery and becomes a message your body is sending loud and clear.